The message came on a Tuesday. It was just after 3 p.m. when every screen on Earth flickered and changed. TVs, phones, computers, billboards, all showed the same strange, swirling pattern of light. Then the pattern formed into words in every language on the planet. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Council, a union of 327 intelligent species across 17 sectors of the galaxy. We have been observing your world for some time, and we believe you are ready to join our peaceful federation. In the Pentagon's main Situation Room, Admiral John Carter watched the message repeat itself for the third time. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his knuckles were white as he gripped the edge of the table. "What do we know?" he asked. Susan Miller, the lead diplomatic advisor, looked up from her tablet. "Not much. The signal is coming from just beyond Mars' orbit. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, and somehow it's bypassing our encryption systems, like they don't even exist. Can we respond?" asked the president, who had been rushed to the secure facility minutes after the broadcast began. "Yes, sir," said the communications officer. "They've provided transmission protocols. We can send a message back whenever you're ready." The president nodded. "Put together a response team. I want our best linguists, diplomats, and military strategists. Admiral Carter, you'll lead. Ms. Miller, you'll be second. I want a response drafted in the next hour." The team worked quickly, analyzing every word of the alien message. Susan Miller was the first to notice something strange. "Look at how they describe the council," she said, pointing to the screen. "A peaceful federation that we are ready to join. But there's no mention of choice or invitation. The language suggests inevitability." Admiral Carter nodded. "And look at this part about standard resource contribution guidelines. That sounds like taxes to me." "Or tribute," said Susan quietly. They drafted a careful reply, thanking the Galactic Council for their message and expressing interest in learning more, but making no commitments. "We request additional information about the terms of membership and the nature of the Council's governance." The message read, "Humanity wishes to extend friendship, but we require time to consider this generous offer." The president approved the message, and it was sent. The reply came almost instantly. "We are pleased by your interest. A representative will arrive at your planet in 14 of your days to begin the integration process. Please prepare your world leaders for a formal meeting." Admiral Carter frowned. "Integration process. That doesn't sound like a negotiation." "No," agreed Susan. "It doesn't." Over the next 2 days, more messages were exchanged. Each time, Susan and her team noticed subtle problems with the Council's language. They spoke of membership privileges, but also compliance requirements. They mentioned cultural preservation zones, but also resource allocation quotas. In a private meeting with the president, Admiral Carter laid out his concerns. "Mr. President, I don't think this is a friendly first contact. Everything about their communication suggests they expect our surrender, not our partnership." "What are our options?" the president asked. "We stall," said Susan. "We ask questions. We request clarifications. We study their language and technology. And meanwhile, we prepare," finished Admiral Carter. Quietly. "Every military asset, every satellite, every defense system needs to be ready. But they can't know we suspect anything." The president looked at the latest message from the council. It ended with what seemed like a friendly statement. "We look forward to welcoming Earth into the embrace of galactic civilization." "The embrace of a predator," Susan said softly. The president nodded. "Do it. Keep them talking. Learn everything you can. And Admiral, prepare our defenses, but keep it hidden. If they are what you suspect, I don't want them to know we're getting ready." As the sun set over Washington, D.C., the real work began. On the surface, Earth prepared for a diplomatic welcome. Underground, in secret facilities, Humanity prepared for war. Captain Frank Peters stood in the cold control room of the Jupiter Deep Space Listening Post. He had been awake for 20 hours straight, but he wasn't tired. What he had just discovered drove all thoughts of sleep from his mind. "Play it again," he said to his communications officer. The officer nodded and hit a button. A series of clicks, whistles, and electronic pulses filled the room. To most people, it would have sounded like random noise, but Frank and his team had spent weeks cracking the Galactic Council's basic communication codes. "There," said Frank, pointing to a waveform on the screen. "That's the part I want translated." The computer worked for a few seconds, then displayed the message. "Native species 4672. Designated humans. Resource VAL. U. High. Military 38. Minimal. Recommended action. Standard Absorption Protocol." Frank's face hardened. "Send this to Admiral Carter immediately. Priority Alpha." Back on Earth, Susan Miller was in the middle of another video call with the Council representatives. She smiled politely as they explained, for the third time, why Earth needed to sign the membership treaty before receiving full details about Council governance. "We understand your desire for transparency," said the alien on screen, a tall blue-skinned being called Zex Thiller. "But certain information is only available to member species. This is for security reasons, you understand." "Of course," said Susan, "but surely you can appreciate our position. On Earth, we would never sign a contract without reading it first." Zex Thiller's expression didn't change, but his secondary eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of irritation. Susan had learned. "This delay is unnecessary," said Zex Thiller. "The Council has welcomed hundreds of species. All are prospering under our guidance." Susan was about to respond when her assistant slipped her a note. It contained just 3 words. "They know nothing." Susan kept her face neutral. The note confirmed what they had suspected. The Council didn't realize that humans had already cracked their basic codes and were listening to their real communications. "We appreciate your patience," Susan said to Zex Thiller. "Our legal experts have prepared a list of questions about the treaty. If we could address these, I'm sure we can move forward much more quickly." She sent a document containing 147 detailed questions about the treaty's fine print. Zex Thiller's eyes blinked even faster. "This will take some time to address." "We understand," said Susan with a smile. "We'll await your responses." After the call ended, Susan rushed to the Situation Room, where Admiral Carter was reviewing Captain Peters' discovery. "It confirms everything we suspected," said Carter. "They don't invite species to join. They absorb them. They see us as resources to be harvested. And they think we're no military threat," added Susan. "That's our advantage," said Carter. "If they knew what we've been doing these past 10 days, they wouldn't be so confident." What humanity had been doing was preparing. Every nation on Earth had quietly mobilized their forces. Weapons systems were brought online. Satellites were repositioned. The Mars colony, originally a scientific outpost, had been secretly converted into a military fortress over the past week. "How much longer do we need?" asked Susan. 2 more weeks minimum," said Carter. "We need time to deploy the new SHIELD technology." "Then we keep stalling," said Susan. "I've already sent them enough questions to keep them busy for days." The next morning, Zex Thiller sent a message announcing that he would arrive on Earth in 3 days, rather than waiting the full 14 days originally planned. "The Council feels direct discussions would be more productive," the message stated. "Please prepare your United Nations Assembly for my arrival." Susan looked at Admiral Carter. "They're getting impatient." "Good," said Carter. "Impatient people make mistakes." On the day of Zex Thiller's arrival, the United Nations building in New York was prepared for the historic meeting. World leaders gathered, cameras were ready, and security was tight. Zex Thiller's ship landed exactly on time. The alien diplomat emerged, escorted by 4 guards in shimmering armor. He looked around with his 4 eyes, taking in the human welcome party. I am pleased to finalize Earth's entry into the Council today, he announced. The treaty is prepared for your signatures. Lisa Brown, Earth's chosen negotiator, stepped forward with a warm smile. Welcome to Earth, Representative Zex Thuller. Before we proceed to any signing, we've prepared a detailed analysis of your responses to our initial questions, which has generated 253 additional points requiring clarification. For the first time, Zex Thuller's confident demeanor faltered. Behind the scenes, humanity continued to prepare for war. The red dust of Mars swirled around Governor Alan Scott as he walked the perimeter of the colony dome. To anyone watching, he looked like a concerned administrator checking for damage after a small dust storm. In reality, he was confirming that the camouflage nets were properly hiding the defense turrets installed last week. How do they look from orbit? He asked into his radio. Perfect, replied Major Laura Chen from the control center buried 20 meters below the surface. Our satellite feed shows nothing but a struggling colony. The dummy equipment is in place and giving off the heat signatures we want. And the real equipment? Cold and silent, just like we planned. The coolant systems are working better than expected. Ellen nodded, satisfied. Mars colony had been transformed. On the surface, it appeared to be exactly what the public records said. A scientific outpost with minimal defenses and a population of just 1,200 people. The reality was very different. 3,000 soldiers now lived in the underground sections, along with enough weapons to start a small war. The deception had a purpose. Earth's intelligence suggested that the Galactic Council always followed the same pattern when absorbing new species. First came diplomatic pressure, then a show of force against an outlying settlement to prove resistance was pointless. Mars colony was designed to be that target, and to turn the tables on the Council. Governor, we're picking up energy signatures, said Laura suddenly. Multiple ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Alan didn't rush. He calmly walked back to the airlock and cycled through. Once inside, he took the elevator down to the real control center. The room was filled with screens showing different views of space. 5 Council ships were visible, moving toward Mars. They're scanning us, reported the sensor operator. Standard energy bands, nothing fancy. Let them see what we want them to see, said Alan. Everyone follow the plan. Surface team, act normal but prepare for evacuation on my signal. For 3 hours, the Council ships circled Mars, scanning the colony from different angles. Finally, a message came through on the public channel. Attention Mars colony. This is Survey Commander Crix of the Galactic Council. We request permission to land a small team to inspect your facility. Alan put on his most welcoming voice. This is Governor Scott. We're surprised by your visit but happy to accommodate. Our landing pad can handle ships up to 50 meters in length. No need, replied Crix. We will send a shuttle with 10 personnel. Please prepare to receive them in 2 hours. After the communication ended, Alan contacted Earth. They're coming in. Small team, just like we expected. Admiral Carter's voice came back clear and confident. Good. Give them the tour we planned. Let them see our weakness. Make sure they report back exactly what we want them to hear. 2 hours later, Alan greeted the Council representatives at the landing pad. They were a mix of species. 2 tall blue ones like Zex Thuller, 3 reptilian beings, and 5 smaller creatures with multiple limbs. Welcome to Mars colony, said Alan. We're honored by your visit. The lead alien, presumably Crix, looked around with obvious disdain. This is your entire colony. Our scans suggested it was quite limited, but this is even less impressive than we expected. Alan forced a smile. We're still developing. Mars is a harsh environment. Would you like a tour? The tour was carefully planned. Alan showed them the main facilities, actually decoys built just for this purpose. He pointed out problems with the life support system, mentioned their limited power generation, and emphasized how dependent they were on Earth for supplies. The council representatives didn't try to hide their growing contempt. Several times, Alan caught them exchanging glances that clearly said, "These humans will be easy to conquer." When the tour ended, Crix didn't bother with pleasantries. "We have seen enough. We will depart now." As the shuttle took off, Laura contacted Alan from the control center. "They're transmitting to their main ships. Heavy data package. Can we intercept it?" "Already done. They're reporting that Mars Colony is a perfect first target. Minimal defenses, important symbolically, but easy to take. They're recommending a quick strike to show Earth the futility of resistance." Alan allowed himself a small smile. "Then our trap is set. Alert Earth. Tell them the Council took the bait." Deep below the Martian surface, 3,000 soldiers checked their weapons and waited. Commander Diana White stood in the hidden command center beneath the Martian surface. On the main screen, 15 Council warships appeared as red dots moving toward Mars. Their attack force was larger than expected, but still within the range they had prepared for. "All personnel to battle stations," she ordered. "Activate defense grid, but keep it powered down until my command. Evacuate all non-essential personnel from the surface structures." Around her, men and women rushed to their positions. No one seemed afraid. They had trained for this moment for weeks. "Council ships will be in firing range in 7 minutes, reported the sensor officer. Diana nodded. "Open a channel to their lead ship." The communications officer worked at his console. "Channel open. This is Commander Diana White of Mars Colony. We detect multiple warships approaching our position. Please state your intentions." There was a pause. Then a harsh voice responded. "This is Battle Leader Vrek of the Galactic Council. Your species has been given ample opportunity to join the Council peacefully. Your continued resistance leaves us no choice but to demonstrate the consequences of defiance." Diana kept her voice calm. "We have made no hostile actions against the Council. We request." Vrek interrupted her. "You will surrender your colony immediately, or we will destroy it." Diana looked at her second-in-command and nodded. He pressed a button, ending the transmission. "They're exactly as arrogant as we expected," she said. "Time to show them their mistake. Activate all defensive systems on my mark." The Council ships moved into position around Mars. On the surface, the few remaining structures of the decoy colony stood exposed and seemingly defenseless. "Energy buildup detected in enemy weapon systems," announced the tactical officer. "They're preparing to fire." Diana took a deep breath. "Wait for it. Let them commit fully to the attack." The first blasts from the Council ships hit the surface structures. Explosions bloomed across the Martian landscape as the decoy buildings were destroyed one by one. "Now," ordered Diana, "full power to all defense systems." Across the Martian surface and from orbit, humanity's true defenses came to life. Hidden missile silos opened. Defense platforms that had been disguised as scientific equipment revealed their true nature, and from the hidden underground hangars, fighter ships launched into the thin Martian atmosphere. The Council ships, focused on their bombardment of the surface, were caught completely by surprise. The first wave of Earth missiles hit before they could raise their shields properly. 2 Council ships exploded immediately. "All fighters engage," commanded Diana. "Launch the EMP warheads." The battle that followed was short but intense. Council ships tried to regroup, but they had walked into a carefully prepared trap. Earth fighters swarmed around them, firing weapons specifically designed to disrupt their shield frequencies. Within 20 minutes, it was over. 5 Council ships had been destroyed. 7 were disabled and drifting in space. 3 had managed to escape, jumping back to faster-than-light travel. Diana allowed herself a small smile. "Casualty report. Minimal. Commander. 12 injured, no deaths. The surface structures are gone, but they were empty. Status of the captured Council ships. Secure. Boarding teams report the crews are surrendering without much resistance. They seem shocked." Diana wasn't surprised. According to the intelligence they had gathered, no species had successfully resisted a Council military action in over 800 years. Until now. On Earth, President Natalie Rogers stood before the United Nations. The room was silent as everyone watched the live feed from Mars showing the defeated Council ships. People of Earth, she began, today we have proven that humanity will not bow to threats or intimidation. The Galactic Council came to Mars expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found that humans do not surrender what is ours. Her face hardened. To the Galactic Council, I say this. We did not seek this conflict. We were willing to discuss peaceful relations. It was you who chose the path of violence. Know this, we will defend ourselves, our colonies, and our future with everything we have. The President's speech was broadcast not just to Earth, but into space, on all frequencies the Council used. She wanted to make sure they got the message. Humanity would not be absorbed. Humanity would not surrender. And any further attacks would be met with the same result. Supreme Chancellor Gorvax slammed his fist on the round table, causing the holographic displays to flicker. The Council chamber, normally a place of quiet order, was in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species were shouting over each other. Impossible. Gorvax roared, his four arms all gesturing in different angry motions. How could our fleet be defeated by a primitive species that hasn't even colonized their own solar system properly? Fleet Commander Zern, his scales dull with shame, stood before the Council. The humans had hidden defenses. They knew we were coming. They prepared a trap. A trap. For us. Gorvax couldn't seem to process the idea. No species has successfully resisted absorption in 800 cycles. An older Council member, Ambassador Lixel, spoke up. Perhaps that is precisely the problem. We have grown complacent. We expected the humans to behave like all other species, to be afraid, to surrender when faced with our might. Gorvax turned his 6 eyes toward Lixel. You suggest these humans are somehow different. I suggest, said Lixel carefully, that we have underestimated them. Their deception was impressive. On the main screen, images from the battle played. Council ships exploding. Human fighters swarming like insects, using tactics the Council had never seen before. Weapons that somehow bypassed Council shields. We must crush them immediately, said Gorvax. Send the main fleet. Destroy their homeworld. Make an example of them. Many Council members nodded in agreement, but Lixel raised a hand. I advise caution. We still know very little about human capabilities. If they could defeat our ships at Mars, what might they have prepared at Earth? Meanwhile, on Earth, Karen Powell sat in a darkened room surrounded by screens. The young intelligence officer had been working nonstop for 3 days, ever since they had captured the Council ships at Mars. I'm in, she announced to the team of hackers working with her. Their encryption was tougher than expected, but I found a weakness in their authentication protocols. Admiral Carter stepped closer to her station. What have you found? Karen's fingers flew across her keyboard. Everything, sir. Their main communication network is open to us now. Fleet movements, diplomatic messages, internal Council debates. She looked up at him, eyes wide. Sir, the Council isn't what they claim to be. Most of their member species aren't willing participants. They were conquered, just like they planned to conquer us. Carter nodded grimly. Can we communicate with these other species without the Council knowing? I believe so, sir. Their network has subchannels that seem designed for private communication between representatives. With some work, we could use those. Do it, ordered Carter. Find out which species might be willing to side with us. Across the globe, in a secret laboratory buried deep under the Rocky Mountains, engineer George Davis made the final adjustments to a massive device. It was the size of a school bus, bristling with antennas, and surrounded by cooling systems. Power levels stable, he reported to the observation room, where a team of scientists watched anxiously. Beginning test sequence now. The machine hummed to life. Around it, a shimmering field of energy appeared, expanding until it surrounded the entire test chamber. "Shield integrity at 100%, said George, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "Beginning weapons test." From the ceiling, a laser weapon identical to those captured from council ships fired at the shield. The energy beam hit the shield and dissipated harmlessly. "It works," shouted one of the scientists. "The reverse-engineered shield works." George allowed himself a small smile. They had done the impossible, taken alien technology from the captured ships, and not only understood it but improved upon it. The new shield system was more efficient and more powerful than anything the Council had. Admiral Carter arrived just as they were finishing the tests. He watched the final demonstration, then nodded in satisfaction. "How soon can we deploy these shields to our defense stations?" he asked. "The first units will be ready in 48 hours, replied George. "We can shield key military installations within a week, major cities within 2 weeks. Carter's face was grim but determined. "That may be just in time. Our intelligence suggests the Council is preparing a major attack. They're not taking their defeat at Marswell." George looked at the shield generator with pride. "Let them come. This time, we'll be ready for them." Ambassador Richard Kelly stood alone in his office, staring at the strange device on his desk. It looked like an ordinary computer tablet, but it had been built using technology from the captured Council ships. This device could send messages that the Council couldn't detect or intercept. "Are you sure this will work?" he asked the technician who had brought it. "Yes, sir. We've tested it extensively. Your message will reach only the species you select." Richard nodded and picked up the device. What he was about to do was perhaps the boldest diplomatic move in human history. Instead of continuing to negotiate with the Council, he was going to reach out directly to other species, those who, like Earth, had been bullied or forced into submission. He activated the device and began recording. "This message is for the representatives of the Viridian and Calterian peoples. My name is Richard Kelly, Ambassador of Earth. We know the truth about the Galactic Council. We know you didn't join willingly. We are offering something different. An alliance of equals, not masters and servants. If you wish to discuss this further, here is how you can contact us securely." He sent the message, then prepared more, each one targeted to a specific species that intelligence suggested might be sympathetic to Earth. By the end of the day, he had sent 17 messages. "Now we wait," he told his staff, "and hope someone answers." 3 days later, in the Secure Communications Center beneath the United Nations building, Richard received his first reply. The translator worked for several minutes before producing an English version. "Humans of Earth," it read. "Your message was unexpected but welcome. For 4 centuries, the Viridian people have served the Council against our will. We are interested in your proposal but cautious. The Council's reach is long, and their punishment for rebellion is severe. How can you protect us if you can barely protect yourselves?" Richard worked with his team to craft a careful response, explaining the Mars victory and hinting at new defensive technologies. 2 days later, the Viridians responded again, more interested now. Similar exchanges began with the Calterians and 3 other species. Meanwhile, in Council space, intelligence agent Beth Howard moved carefully through the crowded alien market. Disguised as a trader from a minor Council species, she had spent weeks infiltrating this hub world. Her mission: to confirm what their hacked communications suggested, that unrest was growing among the Council's unwilling members. She paused at a food stall, pretending to examine the goods while listening to the conversations around her. The translator implant in her ear worked perfectly. "Did you hear about the humans?" said one alien to another. "They destroyed 5 Council ships and captured 7 more." "Impossible," said the other. "No one defeats the Council." "The humans did. My cousin serves on a Council ship. He says the High Command is frightened." Beth moved on, gathering more snippets of conversation. The news of Earth's victory was spreading, creating ripples throughout Council space. Species that had been subjugated for centuries were beginning to hope. And hope, Beth knew, was dangerous to tyrants. Back on Earth, a secure message arrived for Admiral Carter. It was from Council Space, from a ship captain named Jix, who claimed to represent a faction within the Kaltarian military. "The Council plans a full assault on your homeworld," the message warned. 300 ships, launching within 15 of your days. But there is more you should know. Some of us are prepared to malfunction during the battle. Not openly rebel. We are not ready for that. But we can ensure our weapons target empty space, or our shields fail at crucial moments. All we ask is that you remember who helped you when the time comes for a new order in the galaxy. Admiral Carter shared the message with the President and the War Council. "So we have friends out there," said the President. "Potential friends," cautioned Carter, "or it could be a trap." "Either way," said Richard Kelly, "the Council is starting to crack. Just the idea that we might win has given others courage." "How are our preparations?" asked the President. "The SHIELD network will be ready in time," reported George Davis, "and we've improved our weapons based on captured technology." The President nodded. "Then we'll be ready when they come. But remember, our goal isn't just to defend Earth. It's to break the Council's power forever." Colonel Michelle Green floated in the command module of Defense Station Alpha, the largest of Earth's orbital platforms. Through the viewport, she could see dozens of similar stations positioned around Earth, all built in the frantic weeks since the Mars battle. Each station bristled with weapons and was protected by the new SHIELD technology. "Status report," she called to her officers. "All systems ready," Colonel, replied her second-in-command. "The automated defense grid is online. Minefields are in position around the jump points. Fighter squadrons are on standby." Michelle nodded. Their intelligence had been correct. The long-range sensors showed a massive Council fleet approaching the edge of the solar system. 300 ships, just as they had been warned. "Send the alert to Earth Command," she ordered, "and activate the outer sensor buoys. I want to know the moment they enter our space." The alert spread quickly. Across Earth, civilians moved into underground shelters, military bases locked down, and in a hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Carter and the Joint Chiefs gathered to direct the defense. "This is it," Carter told them. "Everything we've prepared for." He turned to the communications officer. "Send the signal to our allies." Across the solar system, ships that had been hiding in the shadows of moons and asteroids powered up. They were a mix of Earth vessels and ships from 5 other species who had secretly joined humanity's cause. Not many, just 27 ships. But they were positioned to strike from behind once the battle began. In deep space, Fleet Master Xerthal stood on the bridge of the Council flagship, a massive vessel 10 times the size of anything humans had built. The fleet behind him was the largest ever assembled in Council history. "We will crush these humans," he told his officers. Their victory at Mars was luck, nothing more. Today they will learn the true power of the Council. His communications officer approached nervously. "Fleet Master, we are receiving a message from Earth. They are demanding our surrender." Xerthal laughed, a harsh sound that echoed across the bridge. "Put it on screen. I want to see these humans beg for mercy when I refuse." The screen showed Admiral Carter, his face calm and determined. "Council Fleet, this is Earth Command. Your intentions are hostile and clear. Turn back now, or we will be forced to defend ourselves." Xerthal sneered at the screen. "Human, you face the full might of the Galactic Council. 300 of our finest warships against your pitiful defenses. Surrender now, and we may allow some of your species to survive as servants." Carter's expression didn't change. "We will not surrender. We will not negotiate. You have 1 hour to retreat from our system." The transmission ended. Xerthal turned to his officers. "Prepare for battle. All ships advance." The Council fleet moved forward, entering the outer reaches of the solar system. Almost immediately, alarms sounded on multiple ships. "Fleet Master, "We're detecting unusual energy readings," reported the sensor officer. "The humans have deployed some kind of mines." "Ignore them," ordered Exerthal. "Nothing can stop this fleet." The first mines detonated, destroying 3 Council ships instantly. More explosions followed as the automated defense system activated. Lasers and missiles struck from platforms the Council sensors hadn't detected. Exerthal's confidence began to waver. Push through. Concentrate fire on their defense platforms. The Council ships pressed forward, taking losses but still advancing. They approached Earth, where the main defense fleet waited. The battle became chaotic, with explosions lighting up space as Council ships exchanged fire with human vessels. From her station, Colonel Green directed the outer defense ring. "Sector 4 is weakening," she reported to Earth Command. "The Council ships are pushing through." "Hold as long as you can," replied Carter. "Help is coming." Across the battlefield, Council ships suddenly found themselves under attack from behind. The Allied ships that had been hiding struck hard and fast, targeting engines and weapon systems. At the same time, something strange began happening within the Council fleet. Some ships stopped firing. Others fired but mysteriously missed their targets. Shields failed at critical moments. On his flagship, Exerthal watched in growing horror as his perfect battle plan fell apart. What is happening? Who is responsible for this? The answer came in the form of a new message, broadcast on all Council frequencies. It showed representatives from 7 different Council species. "The reign of the Council ends today," they announced. "Too long have we been slaves. Today, with humanity, we claim our freedom." The battle for Earth lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the once mighty Council fleet was in ruins. 67 Council ships had been destroyed. 93 had surrendered. The rest had fled, jumping to faster-than-light travel to escape the unexpected defeat. On Earth, cities had been damaged and lives had been lost, but the planet still stood. Humanity had won. General William Harris walked through the ruins of downtown Chicago. Buildings had been hit by debris from the space battle. Emergency crews worked to free trapped survivors and put out fires. Despite the destruction, there was a feeling of pride in the air. Earth had faced the greatest threat in its history and survived. "General," called a young lieutenant, running up to him. "We just got word from Orbital Command. The last Council ships have left the system. We've won." William nodded. "For now. Begin the reconstruction immediately, and double the production of shield generators and weapons. The Council will be back." In the days that followed, Earth began to rebuild. The shield technology that had protected military installations was expanded to cover major cities. The fleet, bolstered by captured Council vessels, prepared for another attack. But the attack never came. Instead, reports started coming in from deep space monitoring stations. The Galactic Council was breaking apart. The rebellion that had begun during the battle for Earth had spread rapidly. Species that had been subjugated for centuries were rising up, inspired by humanity's victory. 2 weeks after the battle, Admiral Patricia Jones stood on the bridge of the Liberty, Earth's new flagship. Built using a combination of human and captured Council technology, it was the most powerful ship ever created by human hands. "All systems are green, Admiral," reported her first officer. "The fleet is ready to jump." Patricia nodded. "Send the message to Earth Command. Operation New Dawn is commencing." The Liberty, along with 20 other ships, jumped to faster-than-light travel. Their destination, the heart of Council space. This was not an invasion force. It was too small for that. Instead, it was a diplomatic mission backed by military power, a show of strength and a hand of friendship extended at the same time. When they arrived at the Council homeworld 3 days later, they found a system in chaos. Ships from a dozen different species were in orbit, some fighting, some just waiting. Patricia opened communications on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Patricia Jones of Earth. We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. We wish to speak with all representatives of all species." For several tense hours, nothing happened. Then, one by one, ships from different species approached, not to attack, but to talk. A week later, in the Grand Hall that had once housed the Galactic Council, representatives from 27 species gathered. Some had been part of the rebellion. Others had been loyal to the Council, but now found themselves on the losing side. Daniel Clark, Earth's representative, took his place at the round table. Unlike the old Council chamber, where the dominant species sat elevated above the others, here everyone was equal. "We are not here to replace one empire with another," Daniel told the gathered representatives. "We are here to build something new. An alliance of equals, where all voices are heard." There was skepticism, of course. Many species didn't trust humans, seeing them as just another potential conqueror. Others were afraid the old Council powers would reassert control once the humans left. "Trust must be earned," acknowledged Daniel. "And systems must be put in place to prevent any species from dominating others again. This will not be easy or quick, but it is necessary." Over the following months, the framework for a new galactic alliance took shape. Earth became a founding member, alongside the Viridians, the Caltarians, and others who had helped in the rebellion. The old Council was gone forever. In its place stood something unprecedented in the galaxy's long history, a true alliance of equals, born not from conquest, but from a shared desire for freedom and dignity. All because humanity had refused to negotiate with tyrants.